Now, the satellite portion of today's meeting should last about 40 minutes, depending on the number of questions we get. Soon, Ron Sargent, our President and Chief Operating Officer, will be reviewing some of our past achievements from the past year. Then Tom Stemberg, our Chairman and CEO, will outline some of our major business objectives for 1999.
Welcome to the November 2008 Steak and Staples. I'm Jeff Boudro. You just watched a clip from the very first Steak and Staples broadcast back in 1999. In fact, today is the last Steak and Staples that we'll do in the current satellite broadcast. We will be continuing to do Steak and Staples, but we'll be changing it to reach more people in more places. Steak and Staples is actually something that's been around for quite some time. In fact, our founder, Tom Stemberg, started it in our very first store in Brighton, Massachusetts, way back in 1986. Steak and Staples has always been a chance for associates to learn how the business is doing, where the business is going, and how we're going to get there. And probably most importantly, a chance for associates to share what's on their mind and to figure out how we can serve our customers better. Well, we've got a great live audience for today's broadcast. We have associates here in the live audience in home office, but we have also associates out in our retail stores, our fulfillment centers, our shared services center, and today, for the very first time, we have Staples Corporate Express associates tuning in from 3 locations with fresh new satellite dishes on their roofs out in Colorado. Can we give them a warm welcome to everybody that's joining us here? So we have a very full agenda today. Certainly the tough economy is in a lot of people's minds, so we'll be talking about that. And we have a lot of exciting news to talk about the Staples Corporate Express integration. In addition, we have 2 very busy seasons right around the corner, so why don't we get started? We have exactly the right panel today to talk to us. We have Mike Miles, our President and Chief Operating Officer.
Morning.
Thanks, Mike. Shira Goodman, Executive Vice President of Marketing, and also the head of our global integration efforts.
Overall coordinator. Great to be
go.
here.
And Jay Baitler, Executive Vice President of Contract. Thank you all for taking part in the panel.
Thanks for having us.
Much better looking panel.
Much better looking panel than some of the other ones before.
We're a little more comfortable than we were in the first one.
Yeah, we've come a long way since 1999 in our first broadcast, certainly, it shows. So Mike, can you get us started? What about this tough economy and how are we working our way through it?
Sure. It's been a tough year for the office products industry, really a tough year and a half. I think it was the second quarter of 2007 that we first began to see negative same-store sales comps at retail. And this year, 2008, we've had a -6, a -7, and in the third quarter, a -8. The issues are not just in retail. Our North American delivery business, which had been enjoying mid-teens comps growth, organic growth, began to soften up about the same time we got negative in U.S. retail, and in the third quarter of 2008, we'll actually have flat growth, so no growth at all over 2007. Europe, which had been a little stronger than North America at the first part of this year, has actually been affected as well. They have -6 comps in the third quarter. Even China, which has been an economic juggernaut, has slowed down somewhat. You know, our performance is better than our competition. Actually, we've widened the gap in performance versus the competition. Office Max and Office Depot announced their results in the last week. Their delivery business has declined in negative double digits, -14, I think, for Office Max in U.S. delivery, and -11 for Office Depot. Their retail businesses are 300 to 500 basis points worse than ours. So we've actually lengthened the gap, but you know, when you're coming in and trying to make your budgets or your numbers every day, it doesn't help that much that you're better than the competition. Staples is fortunate in that we go into a recession with a nice base of consumables, you know, those core supplies and ink and paper that people need regardless of the situation. I think when you get into a recession, sometimes people will cut back on purchasing a big ticket item like furniture or a new computer or some piece of hardware, but they're going to buy the ink and paper that they need to keep their business going. And I think we've seen that in our results. In the third quarter, our printer comps in retail were actually negative double digit. So people aren't buying new printers, but they are buying ink. Even in a quarter where we had a -8 comp, Inc. comps were positive in North American retail. So that's been good news for us. Now, of course, all this is before the effects of the last 8 weeks or so with the credit crisis and the stock market meltdown have really been felt on the full economy. And for that reason, we think that 2009 is going to be an even tougher year for the economy overall and for our industry in particular than 2008 was. And I think our strategy, as we've talked about on a number of occasions, is to lengthen our lead over the competition during these kinds of times, to use the tough periods as a way to get further ahead. So, for instance, we will open more stores in 2008 than our two North American office superstore competitors put together. We'll do the same thing in 2009, but we'll open fewer stores in 2009 than we have in 2008, probably about 30% fewer stores. We will be looking at every line on the P&L with extra scrutiny. I mean, Staples has always been a cost-conscious company, but I think 2009 will take that to an even higher level. And we'll be watching all of our capital very closely as well. We've got a big loan to pay off as a result of the Corporate Express acquisition. And every dollar we save in capital, every dollar of inventory that we don't have to invest in, is a dollar that we can pay back that loan with, and there's that much less interest to pay. I mentioned the Corporate Express acquisition, and we're obviously going to talk more about that as the program goes on. But I think it's one of the things that makes Staples a particularly attractive company to invest in right now. We've talked about synergy of $300 million as a result of the Corporate Express acquisition. That's a source of profit improvement that very few companies have going into 2009, and it really sets Staples apart.
It's nice that we're so diversified to get us through these tough times, certainly. And now being in 27 different countries, 5 different continents, we have a lot of different ways to approach our customers and satisfy their needs.
Yeah, you know, and the stock market really appreciates it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think when you look at, I think we've got a couple slides here on our stock performance. When you look at our stock performance, although it's not been very much fun over the last couple of months, and compare that to the S&P, the S&P is down probably 35% over the last 12 months. Staples is only down 10 to 15%. And when you take a really long-term perspective and take a look at our stock versus Office Depot, $100 invested in Staples back in the late 1980s is worth over $2,000 today, whereas $100 invested in Office Depot is worth less than $100 today. So
that would be bad.
That would not be a good investment for you. So Staples is definitely the place you want to be, both today and over the long term.
As an associate or an investor, or both, in that case. Good. Well, how has the increasingly global reach of our company changed our identity, changed who we are as a company?
Well, I think Corporate Express really helps us out in a number of different ways, become a more international and a more successful international company. In the first place, it gets us into the contract business, which is our business-to-business relationship with big companies, in 3 geographies that we weren't in. In Canada, where we've got a great retail business and an SPD business, but didn't have a contract business. Europe, where similarly we've got Staples catalog, but not that contract business. And then in Australia, where we haven't had any kind of business at all. Corporate Express has strong market-leading contract business, and we're getting in and very excited about that. It also helps us both in Europe. Our big opportunity in Europe has been to improve our margins from 3.5% or so margins up to 7 to 8%. And 2 of the main levers we have to pull to make that happen are scale and buying leverage. And putting the 2 companies together really gives us a lot more of both. It gives us a new leader for our international business. Peter Ventress, who's the former CEO of Corporate Express, is now the president of Staples International, and you'll hear more from him in a couple of minutes. And finally, it gives us the opportunity to accelerate the Staples brand name all around the world. It's something that we've been working on, but with Corporate Express, we're going to step that up. And Sherry, you might want to talk a little bit about that.
Well, that's a topic near and dear to my heart. And, you know, for those of us in North America, The Staples brand is very well known. In fact, we have 98% brand awareness. You know, you see easy buttons popping up everywhere. I always know when it's Halloween because I get a deluge of emails with people in their easy button costumes. It's become so widespread. But the fact of the matter is we are today not really a global brand at all. And with the Corporate Express acquisition, you know, day one we went into there and we talked to their leadership in U.S. and in Europe. And we said, well, what do you think the new brand for this company should be? And they didn't miss a beat. They said, oh, well, Staples, of course. And we said, really? And they said, yep, we love the brand. It has great equity. We should all be Staples name. And we said, well, what about Corporate Express? Don't you have a lot of loyalty to that? They said, Corporate Express, great company, great brand that has served us very, very well. But also, you know, at times can get confused with transportation companies, et cetera. And we really see that together, Staples is the stronger brand. So that was a critical step. Then Staples European Retail and Staples European Catalog said, well, if we're going to be a global brand, count us in, switch the names, and then OfficeNet down in South America. So if you look at it, we will in short order go from a $15 billion North American brand to a $30 billion global brand, which is just tremendous, and we'll accomplish that in pretty much 18 months
In many
or
ways,
so.
CE was the tipping point to get the rest of the
CE
company
was the tipping
to...
point, and they really had the leadership, and I think in many ways the vision to say this is the right thing for the new Staples to be under one brand. Now, you know, as I like to say, changing the name is easy. Now, I think our marketing teams on all the different groups who are, you know, rebranding trucks and doing new catalogs and new uniforms, they wouldn't say that's so easy. But that's actually pretty, that's tactical, and we can make that happen, and the teams are making it happen. The tougher part is actually creating a brand that means something. And I think there we have two things we're focusing on. One is to really equate that Staples equals office supplies. Again, in North America, that's well known. That's not well known around the world. And then the second piece is to say, and it's not just any office supplies, it's a provider that will always give you low prices, great selection, and an easy shopping experience. So the bottom line is, you know, in the short term we'll be one global name, and I think we have our work cut out for us over the next couple of years to become a really powerhouse brand. But I know the team, and we're up to it.
That's great. Jay, you've got to be excited. Your business has just doubled. Can you give us some perspective on contract? I'm sorry, did I just put the weight of the world on your shoulders?
It's already there. Ron reminds me what the interest bills are every month and tells me how I have to pay them. This is really the second great revolution in the office products industry. The first one was back in '86 when Tom Stenberg created the Superstore, and that really revolutionized the business. This is the second revolution, and we're all part of it. We now have the largest contract business in the world, and our challenge is to bring that to life and drive value to our customers everywhere we operate. We have new opportunities for customers in lines of business that we weren't yet ready to deliver to customers, not only in promotional products where we already were, but new and improved furniture opportunities and print opportunities beyond our previous capabilities, and computer supply capabilities beyond our capabilities, and a whole new group of customers who we can introduce into Staples Retail and can take advantage of that channel as well. So a contract business in Canada, something that we've longed for a long time, and something that we have now, and as Shira said, that we get the opportunity to make part of the Staples family and driving value to customers everywhere, but not only for customers who are just in Canada, but to be able to create one incredible proposition for customers that we're the only place for them to shop on a global basis, to have as many solutions for them from one place. There is nobody that can offer what we can offer. And thousands of people around the country and around the world are hard at work bringing this reality to life. And we never could have done any of it without the hard work of all of those thousands of associates in Colorado and Europe and around the United States. So a big thank you to all of them. We're really making incredible progress.
That's great. Well, so there's no doubt that it really expands our growth opportunities, and as you mentioned, establishes us and Europe as instant leaders in the contract space as well. Speaking of European growth opportunities, we're now going to go to a video where you'll see Peter Ventress, as Mike mentioned before, who is the president of Staples International, and his views on the global integration.
Times are tough. The economic problems, issues that we've had in the States are now spreading across the world, so we're seeing a headwind now in Europe. The businesses are looking to a tough economic environment probably over the next 12, 18 months. The good thing, I think, is we have an opportunity to grow everywhere in the world. Nowhere is our market share so large that we don't have an opportunity to grow. And I think I'm looking to our associates to really find ways of growing the business despite the economic headwind, and I think we're certainly capable of that. Equally, we've got to look at ways of making sure we're running at our most cost efficient everywhere in every activity. But I think everywhere around the world we have businesses that are showing what we really want, which is excellence in performance, executing to a good plan and delivering good profitability on the bottom line. Asia, we're seeing great growth. You have to expect that growth will come before profitability, but I think we need to focus there on improving the profitability and growing there. Some parts of Europe, we're seeing some weak results in some of our businesses that mean we have to refocus on the basics, go back to some fundamentals and look to areas we can drive value through adding value to customers, but also managing the cost base a bit more sensibly. If you look to South America, again, it's a growth story. And while we're looking to grow, it can't be growth at any cost. We have to look to grow profitably. Australia, we've got a great business down there, very profitable. The issue there is probably growth. We need to see a bit more growth on the top line. Well, I think when times are tough, you tend to get down to the nitty-gritty of the business. So, firstly, it's identifying your existing customer base in contract, trying to get more business out of them. Managing the database in the delivery business, in the catalogue business to really maximise the value of that data. And in the stores, really looking for the pertinent, the timely promotions and leveraging every single opportunity to get people into the stores and buying more in their shopping basket. We seek to be the best for our customers wherever we are in the world. And that requires building the right infrastructure, building the right network of stores, and again, once we've got a proven foundation, a proven model, and we can show that we can manage this, let's invest some more in that growth. This company has to be about growth.
Nice.
Okay. Well, it's great to hear Peter's experience, and certainly that's going to be key to our growth in the European market. But let's turn our attention back to the integration. Jay, can you comment a little bit about what's going on in North America with the integration?
Well, we're just 16 weeks into it, believe it or not, and the progress is nothing short of miraculous. We feel like we've been at it for a lifetime already, and Jay Muchler, one of our executives in Colorado, likes to say that it's like changing all 4 tires on your car at 60 miles an hour. But we're really making incredible progress. We've got an organization in place that's pretty much mixed between former Corporate Express managers and Staples management. We're out in the street and selling the Staples proposition to customers and making progress. And I really have to give special thanks to some of the management team at Staples Colorado and in Staples Canada, Mike Zara and Ed Meyer and Tim Beauchamp and Jay Muchler, who've just been incredible partners in helping us make the decisions we have to make and move forward. We are further ahead than we ever could have expected we would be at this point in time.
Thanks, Jay. Well, let's turn our attention also to the international integration efforts, and we have a video that we want to share with you with some European associates sharing what's on their mind, what their thoughts are about this integration as well.
Ik weet het niet eens, ja. Vanaf het begin dat het hier gebouwd werd. Ja, ik heb nog steeds naar mijn zin, anders werk ik hier niet. Ja, met de nieuwe Staples verwacht ik gewoon positieve dingen, anders we zijn samen gegaan, dus ik verwacht niets anders dan goeds met z'n tweeën.
As a leadership team, we look ahead into the future. Clearly now, combined with Corporate Express, we have some exciting opportunities. And one of the key things that excites me is our Easy campaign. This button, as we stand behind this as an organisation, both for our associates and our customers, and we keep it simple, that will benefit our business.
I look at it really as not integrating 3 companies, but building a new one. And we're building a new one for the future growth of the company, and clearly to be efficient in driving that growth at the lowest possible cost. I hope that people are excited by it. I certainly am. And I hope that people want to play a part in building this new company for the future.
Most people in Norway think it's a very exciting time. It's a large company, and to be a part of the #1 player in the world, we are very excited about.
I'm very enthusiastic about our two quality-driven companies coming together, sharing the same values and ultimately the same goal, to be the best we can be, and in doing so, offer our customers what they deserve: great service and a truly beneficial partnership in their procurement goals.
Well, it's great to hear what's on our European colleagues' minds and certainly get their perspective, and also to get a peek inside their world. It's neat to see their different businesses. Now, Shira, as head of the Program Management Office for Integration, you certainly have a view on the global integration as well. We'd love to get your perspective.
It's interesting. When we look at this integration, in many ways, it's 3 separate integrations. So in the U.S., we're really combining 2 businesses end to end. And that has the bulk of the synergies and actually the most work as well. And I think Jay already commented on, just the pace of that integration and how fabulous it's been. And I think in no small amount it's because Joe Duty and J&J have really had a vision of what the new organization should look like. In Canada, completely different story. There we had a strong retail business, a strong catalog business, and now we have a strong contract business.
So it's an add-on.
It's an add-on, and how it's a piece of the puzzle, how does it all fit together? There too, there are synergies, and they're working on them, and it's great. And then Europe, we've already heard 2 videos from Europe. So Europe, there's short-term savings, yes, but the bigger question is what is going to be our infrastructure for growth for Europe in the long term. And the integration is really just helping to set it up really for long-term growth. So that's each of the countries. Now, there are several things that really work across all of the different countries and are really global. So first and foremost, product buying synergies. Every single country is going after them independently, and we're working with global suppliers. And it's still early on that, but I would say under the leadership of Jevon Eagle and our merchants around the world, as well as our suppliers really coming to the plate and realizing that in today's world, Staples is the company that they want to partner with, the early results are quite encouraging. The other area that cuts across, that goes around the globe is procurement. So that's everything from travel to computers to corrugated to pallets. And there, Jack Newman and team are working with everyone around the world to get savings there. And that's also fabulous. So that's all on the cost side. I think in the long term, we might remember this integration best for some of the sales synergies. And after all, growth is what we're about. And there is no one in our industry now who can service global companies the way we can. We're in 27 countries, we're one company, we're consistent, we're sophisticated, and we are getting geared up quickly to go to market. And I think one of the most exciting things last week was we had our first win in that area. And Jay, you should really...
Last week we were awarded the global Siemens contract. It's worth about $160 million around the world for 3 years. And some people whose names you might know called Lyrico were one of the losers in Europe. So that certainly didn't entirely disappoint us. And we are the global exclusive provider everywhere. But I think another thing, Shira, that just occurred to me is something that we're just starting in Europe and in Canada, which is best practices sharing. So our mid-market initiatives that we've done so well with in the US are something that we're starting to discuss how it could be applicable in Europe as well. And I think as we get more into those best practices sharing, we're really going to be one awesome powerhouse on a global basis.
Great.
It's a great story. Well, we've talked a lot about the economy, we've talked a whole lot about integration, but we have other things going on as well, as if that wasn't enough. We have 2 very busy seasons right around the corner, certainly with the holiday season and with the new year, the peak season for North American delivery. Can you comment on a preview for that?
Sure. Holiday is always one of the more exciting seasons for both retail and SBD as folks turn to Staples for gifts as well as office products. I think, in spite of the tough economy, people still will be given gifts this year at the holidays, although they may be looking for some more valuable or some less expensive, more value-oriented gifts, something in the order of $10 to $20, and we're putting a focus on that in the retail stores. We're also doing some things to generate a little excitement. We've got a contest where customers can win a free shopping cart full of their purchases, and Sherry, maybe comment on that a little bit.
As the old adage goes, cheap is good, free is better. So, the under 10 gifts are clearly great value, but we're going a step beyond for our customers during this holiday season, and 10,000 customers will win their shopping cart for free. So pretty much starting after Black Friday, after Thanksgiving, until Christmas Day, we will pick 10,000. If you think about it, most sweepstakes you see have 1 winner, 2 winners, maybe 25 winners. We're giving it to 10,000, which equates rough and tough 7, 8 per store will get their card for free. And it was such a great sweepstakes, we didn't want our associates to be left out. But as you know, associates usually can't qualify for sweepstakes that are for customers. So we're also doing under associate rewards that over the course of the holiday season, we're going to pick 10 associates who will get a $1,000 shopping spree.
That's super.
So that is for everyone in the home office and out in the field. And the final great point on that is we're going to have our newest Staples associates, the former Corporate Express associates, will be on associate rewards in time for the holidays and in time for this great sweepstakes. So I think we got some good things in store for the holiday season.
And then as we come out of the holiday, you get back to business, which is really the season that we make our most money in. And both the retail and NAD businesses, as well as in Europe as well, will be seeing their peak sales at that time of year. I know all the fulfillment centers, all the distribution centers are loaded up for that season. And we're in retail focusing on some of our Staples brand products, which are a great value. And as everybody gets their new budgets for the year, it's a great time to stock back up. It's also a time that people will be very value conscious, and there's no better value in the industry than Staples brand products, and we'll be featuring those front and center in all of our stores.
Well, that's a super update on 2 busy seasons there ahead with a lot of promise in them both. Thank you both. I think that's about it for our agenda today before we get into the QA, but any parting thoughts before we get started?
I might just say thank you to everybody. It's been a tough year, as we discussed. Most of us aren't making our budgets. Most of us aren't earning big bonuses. It's nice to know that we're beating the competition, but it's been a tough year, and I really want to thank everybody for their hard work, and particularly the folks who've been involved in the integration. And we've got a number of people, 2 of them sitting right here, who are doing their day job and a second full-time job at the same time. And it's really going to make Staples a lot of money. It's really going to set us apart from the competition, and it's really appreciated.
I really think we all have to remember that in tough times and in tough integrations, we have one asset that nobody else has, and that's great people. We have the best people anywhere, and that really overcomes every other obstacle there is. So I'm feeling pretty good about where we are and where we're headed.
Great message, thanks. Sure.
Finally, I would, obviously I have to echo the thanks, and, one aspect of my job is I'm privy to literally the dozens, if not hundreds of people who are working on integration. And a special thanks to all those folks, because I'll tell you, they did not have summer vacations. Those 16 weeks, they feel more like 16 years.
Probably.
So, but the other point is, ironically, even though we're in the middle of a recession, and I think times are tough, this was a tough year, next year it's going to be a challenging year, I have never been more optimistic and more confident about Staples. And I really think we're going to emerge from this time as a global powerhouse. I think we're really going to have a great global name, a global presence, and I think the gap between ourselves and our competition on all fronts in all channels is going to be huge. So at some point, and it might be 5 years from now, it might be 10 years from now, it might be 3 years from now, we'll actually look at this as our breakaway time.
Great. Well, thanks for those parting comments, and we're ready now to get into the Q&A portion of our program. For anybody that doesn't know, we do have live calls coming in, and I also invite people in our live audience to step up to the microphones on either side of the audience here. But we have someone calling in already. Kelly, can you hear us?
Yes, hi. Calling
Kelly, where are you?
from North Glen.
North Glen, all right. That's, for anybody that doesn't know, that's one of our Colorado facilities with Staples Corporate Express Associates. What can we do for you today, Kelly?
This is actually a question from Patricia. She's asking about ISO compliance. Is this something that Staples will continue with?
So ISO compliance, Jay?
Yeah, we're evaluating right now as to whether Lean Six Sigma is the way to continue or ISO. We're evaluating it on a global basis. ISO seems to be a stronger value proposition for quality in Europe. Lean Six Sigma at this point seems to be slightly stronger in America, and we're busy doing a side-by-side evaluation to determine which one will be the go-forward methodology that we employ.
Kelly, does that get to it?
I think so. Thanks so much.
Thank you, and thank you,
Thanks,
Patricia.
Kelly.
All right, I believe we have another call coming in right away. And Jeanette, can you hear us?
Guess you didn't like my answer.
I'm calling in from the CEC. This question comes from Emily. We're at the CEC in Aurora, Colorado.
Right.
And the question is that earlier this year, Corporate Express has transitioned some of our delivery trucks to a hybrid. Will Staples be considering continuing these types of sustainable efforts as we move forward?
Yeah, it's really interesting. We were both way down the same track with the same provider. I think it was Isuzu, and we have some test hybrids in the market. And as you probably are aware, we've employed some of the techniques that we've found successful. We've put governors on all of the former CE trucks to govern their speeds to 60 miles an hour and no higher, to be fuel-conscious consumers in the marketplace.
And save $2 million.
And save $2 million. And we will continue those moves with more hybrid trucks, and probably a next generation that I'm hearing about that's even better than the ones we're testing now. Corporate Express and us were really the first people to be testing these Isuzu hybrids in the marketplace.
I just think that raises an even broader point, which is commitment to social responsibility. And that's actually a value that both Corporate Express and Staples really shared. And I think that was one of the really exciting things when we got together. I think we're both the environment, you know, the trucks are one aspect of it. It's selling recycled, it's the energy we use, it's a whole,
Sustainable Earth.
Sustainable Earth product. And